Let's talk about relative phrases and moving targets. I don't know if you've heard these phrases before, or these things talked about when we talk about KPIs, measurements, metrics, all of these things. But what I mean by these things are ways you describe what's going on without using numbers, right? Relative phrases, something like, this list performed so much worse than the last one. Okay, what is so much worse? What does that mean? We're seeing so many more wrong numbers than before. You know, all these relative phrases are you comparing one thing to another, but without the numbers, we don't really know what the true comparison is, right? What's really going on too, in most cases, is you're trying to solve a problem by describing things and measuring things emotionally, right? Relative phrases are emotion. You go to a salesperson, you say, hey, your deal count, your contract count, whatever it is down this week, what's going on? And they say, well, we're getting so many more wrong numbers, or we're having so many bad conversations. Well, what does that mean? What's the number? Is it double? Is it triple? Are you talking about going from 2 to 3? That is so many more. Again, these are emotional descriptions. And the problem with these emotional descriptions is, how are you going to fix things based on emotion, right? So many wrong numbers. Okay, how many was that? You have to get to these actual numbers and comparing actual numbers. And it's going to help you get away from the other phrase I mentioned and these moving targets, right? The problem with moving targets is you're trying to set a target and then you're trying to optimize the way you achieve that result, right? You're trying to hit that target by optimizing your result. Well, if you're moving the target constantly, then how do you know if what you're doing is working, moving you closer to achieving that result? You don't, you're guessing. And what you're trying to do is eliminate as much of the guesswork as possible. That's the whole key to all of this, is there's so many things that you can't control. There's so many things that you aren't gonna be able to predict, or even if you know they're coming, you don't know exactly when they're coming. What you can control is having measurements, being able to read numbers, being able to cut through emotion and put a number on it. And this is especially important not only in optimizing everything or reading the KPIs or understanding what's actually going on in your processes. This becomes even more important as a business owner, as a manager, as a sales leader, when you hire people, when you have people working for you that don't have the ability to cut through that emotion because they're trying to do the job, they're trying to earn money and feed their family. It's your job as the business owner to translate the emotion into metrics, to translate emotion into what action needs to happen in order to increase your business, do more deals, more profitability, more leads, whatever the case is, whatever the result you're trying to achieve. So get away from the relative phrasing. It doesn't help anybody, honestly. It doesn't help anybody help you either. You know, this is something I've been doing for a very long time. I have a lot of knowledge, but if you call me and all you have are relative phrases, I now have to cut through all that and try and get to numbers. And if you don't have those numbers, then it makes it very hard to actually say, this is what you're doing wrong, or this is what you need to focus on fixing this week, this month, for whatever time period it is. So relative phrasing, we just need to get away from it, okay? Compare results based on numbers. If it's so much worse, then let's put a number behind it. How much worse is it? Talk to me in numbers. Is the same thing going on? As soon as you start to get away from the relative phrasing and start to dig and put numbers behind it, what you'll usually figure out is what you thought was the issue is not the issue, because there's another number that wasn't being talked about or wasn't being paid attention to, right? So by getting away from those relative phrases, we can get to the number, we can get to the core problem, we can stop wasting time trying to fix things and actually breaking other things because you're trying to fix the wrong pieces. And just very importantly for efficiency and team growth, if you can cut that emotion away and keep it based on the numbers, it's very easy to help your teams, your salespeople, even yourself, stay on track with things like consistency, stay on track with actions without getting burnt out. This is the key to all of that, is to translate the emotion into those numbers, get away from the relative phrasing, get away from the moving targets, and just control these pieces and chip away every single week at making that stuff more efficient.